African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome on your live safari here in the vast wilderness of Africa. This is Safari Live.
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
A very warm welcome on our sunset safari here live from Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. My name is Jamie, and on camera today with me for the very first time that Craig and I have ever worked together before, so it could be an interesting afternoon, Craig. I hope you are very, very excited. Alright, and for those of you that have just joined us for our live safari, as I said, we're coming to you live from a vast wilderness area. This isn't going to work. I wanted to try and show you something, but it isn't going to work in this light. We are coming to you from a vast wilderness area known as the Greater Kruger National Park. And out here it is 8.5 million acres of unfenced wilderness, which is absolutely massive. It's bigger than some small countries. Now it is interactive, which means that you can send through your questions, and please do. You can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarth.TV. And a very special, very warm welcome to the schools joining us this afternoon. Now, for our new viewers, we do take up a little bit of time in the beginning to do a school session with some kids in the States, and this afternoon it's the kids from Windsor Oaks and from Providence. I hope you're all very excited to go on a live safari. Now let me see if I can try and show you all what it was that I was trying to show you without the sun getting in the way. The sun's still kind of getting in the way. It's very, very hot here this afternoon. And of course, I'm sure you're all very excited about what it is you could see here. Now let me just show you something very quickly on the ground, because it'll make sense when you have a chance to meet James in a second. Over there in the dirt are some circular scuff marks leading up towards a great open area we know as quarantine clearings. And those scuff marks belong to the feet of an elephant, and it sounds as though James has found him.
Good afternoon, everybody. What a special way to start our drive, especially for you kids there at Windsor Oaks and Providence Elementary Schools. I hope you're having a good day at school. My name is James Hendry, and we're standing with what I think is the real king of the beasts, a big elephant, and he's eating delicious marula fruits. Let's have a slightly closer look at him. You can see him flapping his ears there, and that's because it's quite hot today, about 33 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And although it looks like we're quite close to him, we're not actually very close to him at all. He's a good sort of 400 feet away, at least. And so he doesn't really, I'm pretty sure he can see us. I'm not convinced that he's worried about us, though. If he was worried about us, he would hold his ears out, and he might lift his head up, and he'd do that if he was irritated by us, or if he was feeling afraid of us. And he's not feeling any of those things. He's just very happily eating away at his marulas. So while we watch him, remember, we'd love to talk to you, so please do ask any questions you'd like to of your teachers, and they'll send through the questions to us, and then we will answer them. Any questions you'd like to ask about this elephant, or the animals we might be seeing, or about Africa. Now that's a big bull elephant, and the bulls like to live on their own. Hello, Geordie. What a very good question from you, and I'm not sure entirely that I know the answer to that. You say, how long have elephants been living on Earth? Geordie, for many hundreds of thousands of years. I think you'll find that the last ancestor, or the elephants probably evolved. I don't know if you know what that means, but basically I think you'll find that they arrived on Earth about 500,000 years ago, so about 500,000 years ago. And remember that they used to have a big family of different kinds of elephant-like animals, one of which, of course, was the woolly mammoth. And I don't know if you've learned about the woolly mammoth in your history classes, but it was a big animal like that, even bigger than an elephant, with huge tusks that came out round the front of the face and then curled back up to the top. And he had a big, thick, shaggy, furry coat because he lived in the Ice Age. He lived when it was very, very cold. And they died out about 20,000 years. No, even less than that. Probably about, I think about 10,000 years ago. 15,000 years ago. When the last Ice Age ended. Kylie, you are a very, very observant young woman. You say, what happened to the elephant's ear? It's notched out. It does have a notch out, doesn't it? Let me just quickly look with my binoculars, and then I'll see if I can tell you. But I tell you what I think happened is that lots of elephants have got damaged ears, especially when they get to his age. He's probably about 35 years old. And what happens is they walk through lots and lots of thick bush with many, many thorns on them. And I think you'll find that all that's happened there is that he's got sort of squashed up and ripped and torn by all the thorns that he's walked through during his 35 years. Now, the fruits he's eating are the most delicious thing, and Xongile, who's on camera, has been sucking one all day long, and they love those fruits, and they only come at this time of the year. Now, Isabella, you're wondering why they have such very big feet. Well, Isabella, how big are your feet, and how big are you? I have got size 7 shoes. I'm not very tall, you see. I'm about 5 feet and 8 inches tall. Xongile, on the other hand, who's on camera today, is 6 foot and 2 inches tall, 6'3". He says he thinks he's 6'3", 6'2", really. And he's got great big size 13 shoes. I mean, he's got enormous feet. He looks like a clown, not only on his feet, but the point is, Isabella, that thing is so enormous that he has to have huge feet. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to balance, and he wouldn't be able to carry his weight. So he weighs about 10,000 pounds, in fact, probably about 13,000 pounds. So he's got to have big feet in order to carry that weight. That's why he's got such big feet. Now, Jackson, you're wondering what a marula fruit tastes like. And the only thing that a marula fruit tastes like, Jackson, is a marula fruit. And a marula fruit looks a little bit like this. In fact, it looks exactly like this. This is a marula fruit. There we go. And Xongile was very kindly given that to us. He's kept a few, you see. He's going to eat them as we walk along on this hot afternoon. And they taste, it's really difficult to say what they taste like because nothing else in the world tastes like a marula fruit. They taste a little bit like, they're sweet, they're very sweet if they've been ripening for a long time. And then it's different. I guess they're a little bit of a mixture between an orange and, have you ever smelt a rose? A little bit of flavored with rose almost. They've a very delicious taste. Thank you very much, Xongile. Aubrey and Gavin, both of you have asked a question, and I think it's, how much does an elephant eat? Is that correct? Oh, what else do they eat? Well, they eat just about everything that you can see around us here. They will eat grass. They will eat the leaves of the trees like that. And they will eat, if you look at this tree over here, Xongile, we can see there that the elephants have broken off the branches and they've eaten the bark of those trees. And then they will eat the seed pods. Do you know what a seed pod is? It's the sort of casing, like a pea pod, basically, that comes off the trees. They'll eat those. They eat fruits. They eat flowers. They eat anything, basically, that isn't meat. They love to eat all sorts of things, and it just depends on what time of the year. This time of the year, they're eating marulas and grass because it's our summertime, and in the summertime we get lots of rain, and so we get a lot of grass, and the elephants like to eat grass. In wintertime they eat much more wood, much more in the way of bark and pods and twigs and that sort of thing. All right, also out here, you've met Jamie. She's around the place. Byron Schmechter is out with the leopards. Let's go and find out what he's doing.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? My name is Byron, and on camera with me is Dave. Now, we have got a great surprise for you. With James finding the elephant, we've got a smaller member of the Big Five right down under that bush. Have a look at that. Almost invisible. Very difficult to spot, but luckily, we've got a great camera to show you a young leopard. Now, that is a young leopard cub that we've just found. We literally found him a few minutes ago. And he's lying, looks like a young male cub. There he goes. I think what's happened is he's trying to move. The flies are bothering him. It's very, very hot. And that's why he's trying to lie in the shade of the tree as much as possible. Now, I wonder where his mother is and where his sister is. Now, this young male leopard is known as Hosana, and he has a sister, Xongile, and their mother is Karula, very well-known leopard on Djuma and on Safari Live. We'd like to see if they are still around. It is very thick in this area, and I think they possibly are around here, but because it is so hot, they're hiding in the shade. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try drive around and see if we can't get a view from the other side. And I'll keep an eye out for these other leopards. So stay with us because there's something else I'd like to show you. It looks like they managed to make a kill. Oh, hang on. There's actually a lovely view of the leopard through there. Can you see? Aubrey, you'd like to know what leopards eat. Now, leopards feed on a wide variety of food. Everything from fish, lizards, and snakes all the way to large antelope. Now, we have got many antelope species in this area. And one of the favorite foods of leopards, well, I say favorite because they generally do hunt, a lot of them are impala. The reason for that is I think it's a perfect size meal for a leopard. Leopards are generally solitary, which means they live by themselves. So an impala, full-grown impala, is a good meal for a leopard. And I'll try to show you. There is one. That's what they managed to kill. They killed an impala, or the female did. She's still looking after these cubs, and she's providing food for them. So what she's done is she's managed to make or kill an impala, and she's hidden it under some bushes, waiting for these cubs to eat them. Now, Makai, you want to know, can leopards camouflage and everything? Well, you can see how difficult it is to spot them in the shade. I mean, look at that. Very well camouflaged. And in this thick bush, it depends, Makai. It is difficult to say. I think generally when the bush is so thick, when the grass is long, there's lots of green leaves, it's easier for them to hide and camouflage themselves. Especially in the dappled light, we like to call that kind of shady coloring, that shady light. It's much easier for them to hide in that. As you can see, it's very difficult to spot them. And that young leopard is panting very heavily, and that's a sign that he is hot and also probably full. I think he might have been feeding on this impala. Now, Juliet, it's not always easy to tell a leopard's age just from seeing them. When they are young, you might be able to gauge an age by their size. Hang on, let's see if he moves out for us. Is he just going to change position? Yeah, I think the flies are bothering him there quite a lot. But look at that, you can hardly see him. Just see the tail flicking. And give it a few minutes before I move, and then I'll try another position. So, Juliet, getting back to your question, it's difficult to gauge the age of a leopard if you just see it. But generally, the size when they are cubs, when they're young, depending on up until they reach adulthood, you can probably gauge how many months old they are. So these young cubs are almost a year old. They will be a year old in February. And let's just see, is that, I can't see clearly, is that not the young female? Just have a look, everyone. I think this is the young female. Actually, now that I had a better look, it's difficult to see through these, through the thick bush. But this is the young female. This is not the young male. So this is Xongile. Now, Hassan is possibly still around somewhere. Nick, generally speaking, leopards do have this coloration, but now we're referring to the African leopard. There are many different leopard species around the world, but they do have these black markings with that yellow golden coat and a bit of brown in it too. We do have black leopards which have been found in southern Africa. I've never seen one. They're very, very rare. But they have been seen, where the whole body of the leopard is black. But generally speaking, leopards in Africa have got this coloration. Now you might have known or seen snow leopards. Now they've got different coloration, much lighter, almost white in color, but also black spots. So they are different. Like I said, there are different species of leopards around the world. Oh, now we are very, very fortunate. From one big cat, from the leopard, Jamie has got another big cat she'd like to show you.
And what an exciting afternoon it has been already. Leopards with Byron, elephant with James on foot, and now a couple of very, very sleepy male lions. Now, I'm sure, I have no doubt, that those leopards with Byron were enjoying a bit of resting time under the shade, and our male lions are doing exactly that, fast asleep, and you can see he's very, very hot. He's panting away, although he has managed to find probably the best patch of shade that there is in this particular spot, and I'm actually quite jealous of him. Aren't you, Craig? It would be nice. No, I'm a little bit jealous of that particular spot. They've taken up all of the available shade and they've left us to sit in the sun. That's okay though. It is very hot for them, and I'm very, very grateful that I don't have a full mane of hair around my head and my neck to keep me too hot. And Dante, while we watch our lion panting, you want to know why it is he is breathing so fast. And the answer is, first of all, he's hot. And of course, lions can't sweat like we can, so that's one way of cooling down. But if you look at his belly now, you can see that he is quite full. He's got quite a round belly. And that's because these lions have been feeding off a buffalo that they caught, one of them caught 2 days ago. Now, when a lion digests the meat, it produces lots and lots of heat, that breakdown of all of that meat in its stomach, so that makes it hotter than normal. And then, of course, it's got such a full belly that it also pushes up a little bit against the lungs, so they have to take shorter, faster breath. But most of it is because they're trying to cool themselves down. So there's lots of blood vessels around their nostrils and around their tongue, so when they breathe, the cool air blows over them like a breeze. Now, you saw one of the fastest cats that we get out here with Byron. Of course, the fastest cat that we get at all is a cheetah, but a leopard is also very fast, and so is a lion. And we have a question about how fast a lion is. And Luke, you wanted to know how fast a lion is. Very, very fast, but only for a short period of time. So they're basically like the 100-meter sprinters of the bush. They could never run long-distance marathons, but they can probably move as fast enough. Let me try and think of how to put this. So you're looking at just under 60 feet per second at full speed. And go outside afterwards when you're finished with this. Don't disappear. Ask your teacher first if you can measure out 60 feet and then count to 1 second. Try and run 60 feet in 1 second, and you'll see just how fast these creatures are. They can move in almost a blink of an eye. But as I said, not really for very long. The lionesses can run a little bit further, for a little bit longer, because they're not as big and bulky, so they don't get as hot. But for the males, with that big thick head of mane, head of mane, I suppose, yeah, that works. Now, nothing can sleep as comfortably as a male lion. But Justin, you want to know, do they have any predators? Now, the biggest predator of lions in Africa is, of course, man. Not these lions, though. We're very lucky in where we are in that these lions are very, very well protected from poachers and from hunters, so we don't have to worry about them here. But the loss of habitat is a big threat to lion populations around the world. And, of course, people who don't or around Africa, people who don't understand about lions, perhaps they have farms and they don't want lions to come and eat their cows. That's probably what is the biggest threat to a lion's population. But if you don't count human beings, the biggest predator to a lion is another lion. And by that I mean a lion that isn't related to them in any way. So these males have fierce territorial battles in order to make sure that they can get a territory. And when they battle like that, they can often kill each other. And while our male lion snoozes away, I think Craig and I are going to go off in search of some shade. While we do that, let's go across to James and something even bigger than a lion.
I have found some shade, everybody. I'm standing underneath a beautiful marula tree in which there are cicada beetles going. And I'm sure you know what cicadas are. They're not beetles, actually. They're bugs. And that's a totally different thing. And I just thought that spending time with this elephant was so special that I thought we should spend a little bit more time with him before we go off and see what else we can find. Isn't he wonderful? Huge, huge animal. The biggest animal that walks the earth right now. And here we are, as human beings, standing on foot with him. Dustin, you're wondering about their territoriality and if they have a place that they defend. They don't have a territory, no. They have what we call a home range, Dustin, and a home range is not defended. So he will walk around a huge area, probably, I'm going to say he probably walks an area of more than 400,000 acres, maybe. And none of that he will defend. So that's just his area that he lives in, but he won't fight off other animals in that area. He will get a little bit irritated sometimes. So sometimes it looks like they're being territorial if they're around a herd with females who are ready to mate with them. But in this particular instance, when he's around this tree here, he could chase animals that come to eat the tree, or sometimes elephants chase animals that come to the water in a drought if they think that the water is going to be taken from them. That looks like territorial behavior, but more it's sort of having a conflict over meager resources that everyone wants to eat. So, no, they're not territorial at all, but they can get a little bit angry with other animals around some of the resources that they need. Dante, you've asked probably the best question we've had so far, and that is, why do elephants have tusks? Well, tusks there, and tell me what you think they would be useful for. And I bet the first thing that you'll guess is that they are useful for defense. If he is threatened by something, then he's going to fight off that threat with those great big tusks. I'm just going to break off there and ask Gendre to look in the tree just above my stick there. Can you see there, Gendre? There's a woodland kingfisher sitting on the thinnest bottom branch. You got him there. So if you follow the main trunk up and go to the left, just keep going left. Got him? Isn't that lovely? He's a beautiful bird called a woodland kingfisher. Anyway, Dante, the other thing that they use those tusks for is for digging. So they'll use them to dig up roots sometimes. They use them to break branches on. So if you look at him there, the angle that you've got him there, he will sometimes pick up a stick and wedge it between his trunk and his tusks and break that stick, and that's how he will eat it. And then they also use it to dig bark off trees. So if you come along with me over here, in fact you can see where an elephant's been using his tusk. Look over here. And you can see an elephant has put his tusk in here, and he's pulled at the bark and tried to get at it. And because this is the stuff that he wants to eat when he is in winter and there's no grass to eat, he will eat this kind of the bark. So Dustin, that's why they've got tusks. Amazing. Now, Providence Elementary School, you're wondering about these little piles of dirt that we have over here. Now what I'm going to do is walk to this pile of dirt so you can look at the elephant with me. We're going to go very quietly. If the elephant turns towards us, we're going to walk backwards and away from him. What this is a termite mound, and a termite mound is a pile of sand in which termites live. And this particular termite mound extends a huge distance around here. It's probably about, shall we say, 30 feet wide underneath there. And what I'm just going to do before we go to this mound of dirt is just check the wind, because we don't want to make the elephant smell us. Elephants think humans are very smelly. So he could smell us from here. But I don't think he's worried about us. I'm pretty sure that he can see us. So that's what they are. They're termite mounds. I'm just going to walk up to this termite mound, and that's as close to the elephant as we're going to get. I've had a very good question from Simon. I think it's Simon. Simon, you're wondering why this elephant is not lying down like the other animals you've seen. Oh, Diamond, that's an interesting name. Diamond, he's not lying down because he's actually too heavy. Little elephants will lie down, and sometimes younger elephants will lie like this against the termite mounds. They'll lean up against them like this and sort of snooze in that sort of fashion. But the big ones like that very seldom lie down, and it's because they've got very big organs. So you can imagine your heart is about sort of the size of your fist there. His heart is about that big. And it means when he lies down on his side, that very heavy heart falls to one side and the blood all goes to one side. It becomes difficult for him to pump blood around his body. It becomes difficult for his liver to do what it's supposed to do, and his kidneys, and it feels very uncomfortable. So sometimes they will lie down, but very seldom. Normally they sleep standing up. Now, I don't know if you know this, but a horse can sleep standing up, and an elephant can also sleep standing up. Sometimes you'll see a bull like that who will go to a tree like this. We're just going to keep an eye on him. And they'll do this sort of thing. They lean up against a tree and they go to sleep like that, which is quite funny to watch. And sometimes they just lie up against a tree like this. But mostly it's while they're standing on their feet. Now, Nick, that's a very good question again. You have lots of good questions today. We're going to leave this elephant now. We're just going to walk gently around this way. Nick, you say, are elephants related to hippos? Nick, they are, but not closely. So I suppose the easiest way to describe it would be to say to you, you are in some way, or we as human beings are in some way related to dogs, but we're not closely related. Now that's quite similar to how we would relate elephants to hippopotamus. I know they look relatively the same, but they're not the same. They're from a different, what we call, order, which means they're very, very distantly related, in the same way that we are distantly related to dogs. So they're not as closely related, for example, as we are to monkeys, or as cats are to dogs. They're much more distantly related from hippos. I hope that sort of makes you, or helps you to understand, but it's not a close relationship at all. Alright, we're going to go down towards probably that way once we've moved away from this elephant and see if we can't find tracks of a male leopard. While we do that, Jamie is still with the gangsters of the bush.
James doing his amazing lion impression. I'm not going to even attempt to follow suit. I hear that James has been telling you all about how elephants sleep with their heads resting up against a tree. I don't have to demonstrate how the lions are sleeping, because they're doing a very good job of that all by themselves. However, I think it might be quite fun, since I've only shown you one lion, to prove to you that there are in fact three here. There's one that you actually can't see. He's hidden right in there. You see him there? Look closely. Just goes to show, there you can see him panting away around behind the bush. Just goes to show how good their camouflage is. And then there's one a little bit further away that I definitely don't think you'll be able to see. But let's go on a quick journey and have a look. Now, I spoke about the fact that it's really hot this afternoon and that I wouldn't want to have a big thick mane around my face. Lexi, you want to know, why do male lions have manes? Now, remember how I told you that lions fight and that the biggest danger to a lion is another lion? So a mane is a defense mechanism. So it's all around the very sort of sensitive parts of the body, the neck, the head, the parts that are going to be exposed if a male lion fights with another lion. And because the males tend to do most of the fighting, that's why they have manes but the females don't. And there's also some evidence to suggest that the ladies quite like manes as well. So when they see darker coloured manes, sometimes it looks as though they might be more attracted to those males. But mainly it's for fighting and to keep their heads and their necks protected. Look, there we go, there's one. Hello, boy. Well, you're presenting us with the back of your head. That's not very exciting. Let's go and have a look at the one with his belly up in the air. Here we go. Hello, mister. Do you mind if I squeeze in here? Oh, hold on, boy. It's okay. He's up. He rolled over, cracked a stick, and gave himself a fright. It's all right, mister. It's okay. Now, Jordan, you want to know why it is they eat meat. I'm just going to keep my voice quite low and just stay still so that he can calm down again. That was entirely his own fault, though. He stepped on a stick and gave himself a fright. Jordan, the answer is they have to. So that is what evolution has basically programmed them to do. They've got the teeth for eating meat, their digestive system, and they play a very, very important role out here, because just think, if we didn't have lions... Here we go, boy. Here we go. That's better. This is Nena, by the way, for those of you who want to know the name of this particular lion, and I think he's beautiful. Jordan, imagine if we didn't have any lions. So imagine there would be no predators if lions didn't, or if we had lions but they didn't eat meat, there'd be no predators. So all of the herbivores would just keep having babies and more babies and more babies and more babies, and then there wouldn't be enough food to feed them all. So lions help to keep a really delicate balance out here to make sure that all of the numbers are kept under control. So it's important that they eat meat. That's what evolution has taught them to do, and it's part of the way that the world works and balances. There you go, Gabby. You wanted to know whether or not, if the lion wakes up and sees me, if he will attack me. And the answer is clearly no. He did wake up and see me, and he's looking right at us. But he doesn't want to attack us at all, and that's because we're not on the menu for these beautiful big cats. Hello, boy. Look how full his belly is. Look how round it is. It's so full of meat. So, Gabby, they don't think of us as food, and they don't think of us as a threat. We're really lucky in that they trust us. So they have no reason to come and attack us at all. So he's not going to jump into the car. He doesn't... Supposedly, the lions don't see the car as a unit. I mean, they don't see individual people. They see the car as a unit. I personally don't believe that. I think that they know that they're human beings in the vehicles, but they know that we're not a threat. And even if I were to get out of the car now, chances are they would run away, because it's daytime. However, Kylie, no, you absolutely cannot touch the lions. So they are completely wild, these lions, and if I were to get close enough to touch them, they'd probably try to run away, but if they couldn't run away, they would attack me. They would definitely attack me, because they don't want to be touched by a human being. They want to live completely wild. Dogs and cats, we've had years and years to make them pets. Lions are definitely not meant to be pets, and they should never ever be touched or cuddled by human beings. Hey, boy, don't you agree? I think he agrees. He just gave me a look as if to say, absolutely don't touch me. So while he snoozes away, let's go and see whether or not Byron's leopards are any more awake than our lions.
Now, we managed to find Karula. She's come out of the bushes, and she actually went to the carcass. She dragged it a bit further under the bush. She's got an impala carcass here, which I think she managed to kill this last night. There's still a lot of meat, but it's well hidden. There, you can just see it over there. Very well hidden under that bush, under the tree rather. And she is now cleaning herself. She's moved away from the kill. I think because of all the flies. And now Xongile hasn't moved, she's still under that bush, and I haven't seen any sign of Hosana yet, the young male. So we're going to sit and wait, and hopefully it starts cooling down. We might get some movement from these younger leopards. 2 cubs. We'll see what they get up to. Now again, I know a lot of people were asking, why hasn't she hoisted it yet? Well, because the grass is so long, it masks the scent of the kill, so it's easier for Karula and her cubs to feed while the kill's on the ground. There isn't a tree really close by that she'd be able to hoist it into. She's also possibly waiting for it to get a little bit lighter before she does decide to hoist it into a tree. Now, Tanya, you wanted to know how much can they actually eat during a day? Well, it depends. You know, they're very opportunistic. So this female leopard killed the impala last night, and her 2 cubs have been able to feed on it. So it depends. They could go through 1 impala between 3 leopards. They'll probably take them 2 days to finish. And then they won't have to hunt for another 2 or 3 days, but because they are opportunistic, if there is food around, they'll be able to hunt and they'll be able to feed again very soon after. They never want to get to the stage where they're completely hungry, but it's very difficult. I can't give you an exact answer of how much they can or can't eat, because it varies all the time. It depends on the availability of food. It depends how hungry they are. Now, Luke, leopards have been known to be aggressive when they feel threatened. Now, with us being this close to this female, we fortunately, these animals know that we are no threat. We are no danger to them. We are very respectful of the animals and their territory and their space. So I wouldn't necessarily drive right up to this female and push her and cause her to feel threatened. Animals only react if they feel threatened, if they feel like they are in danger, then they will react and act aggressively. It's usually one of 2 reactions. They either run away or they act aggressively. It depends how much you push them. So fortunately for us in this position and with these animals, they're used to the vehicles, they're used to the sounds. They're in no means tame, but we do have to be careful. But fortunately we do get to view them from vehicles, and we are lucky that we get to spend time with these wild animals. But again, like I say, we are just always very, very careful. Now, Isabella, leopards don't necessarily have predators. A predator is considered another animal that would go and specifically hunt an animal. Now, no other predators would come and hunt leopards. The only thing that could potentially harm leopards, or there are probably 2 species. The one would be a lion. If lions caught a leopard, they'd most likely kill it, and it's not for food. The only reason they do that is because of competition. It's another predator in their territory, and they don't feel comfortable with it, so they'll kill them. The other one is possibly hyena. If hyena managed to corner a leopard and outnumber them, if this female leopard, for example, if she wasn't able to get away and hyena came in and attacked her, they could potentially kill her. But usually leopards will jump into a tree and get it out of reach of hyena and lions very, very quickly. So generally they don't have predators that hunt them specifically for food or to eat them. But if they get caught by one of those other animals, they could potentially find themselves in some trouble. Now, this leopard is laying flat at the moment in that long grass. We're going to sit here a little bit longer, maybe see if the cubs pop out. Let's head back to my friend James, who's still walking around.
I am walking around, and I was eating a marula and I was trying to hit it with my stick, but I failed because I'm not very good at hitting things. Now, we're going down here towards a waterhole. When you're approaching a waterhole on foot, you have to be very careful because animals like to come down and drink. So you need to be careful of what's around. Now, I don't know if you can see from where you are, but I know that there are at least 3 species of antelope around here trying to have a drink of water. Way over there, I can see some nyala, and we're going to approach them now. Way over there, there are some impala, and somewhere around here, we've seen a wildebeest and a waterbuck. Right, let's keep going. Providence Elementary, all you have to do is look up to the skies to answer that question. Over there is an enormous thunderhead coming in from the south. And that tells us that this is the rainy season, Providence. It's the summertime between January and March. That's the main rains, but they do start sometimes around December. Okay, good. Sorry, Gendre. Gendre is walking all over the place at the moment. He's very good at walking backwards. Now we're going to just try and see which animals are best to look at. Maybe the impala, maybe the nyala, and we'll also try and show you some terrapins, which are a special kind of freshwater tortoise. You know what a tortoise is? It's like a turtle. Now let's just look around. Must walk quietly as we're going towards the water hole. Let's see what's going on. I can't see anything other than that, so we can walk a little bit closer, a little bit faster. Gendre can turn round if he would like to, but he wouldn't. He's going to walk backwards the whole way there. And then we'll see what we can find. The water's just up here. Now this is the best way to explore the wilderness, you know. It's so nice to be on foot. You can smell the fresh air, you can hear the birds calling, you can feel the earth under your feet, you can hear the crunching of the grass, the breaking of the sand. It's just very special. Now when we approach the water, I need to introduce you quickly to my friend Herbert over there, and Herbert is tracking for us and making sure that we're safe. So while I'm talking to you and staring at the camera, Herbert is keeping an eye out for animals that might be behind bushes or under trees or trying to find us. Now I think Herbert's spotted what looks to me like a crime scene. What do you think happened here, Herbert? What do you think that is? A goose. Now there are lots and lots of feathers here, everybody, and it looks like either the birds have had a fight, or maybe even a bird has been taken by a predator here. But who knows? If you look over here, we can see lots and lots of feathers. But because they're all the same kind of feather, these feathers look like the feathers that have come off the breast of a bird, it looks to me like they probably just had a fight with each other. I don't think any of them were killed. And so we got some geese that live around here. I heard them calling. There they are. The two geese are in the waterhole over there now. Now, Maiwa, is that your name? You wanted to know if we can drink this water. You would not even think about drinking this water. You would be sick for days. You would spend the rest of the week sitting on the toilet. You'd be very sick indeed. And you'd have to take medicine, because this really is not good water for us to drink. But you know, there are lots of animals out here that can drink this with no problem. They can drink a whole lot of water without any issue at all, because they've grown up drinking water like this. And you know, if you go to different parts of the world where the water is not quite as clean as the water you have at home, you'll find that the local people there can drink it, but you can't, because your stomach's not used to it. Now the same goes here for the water. Sometimes it's okay for the animals to drink because they're used to it, but for us, no, it would be very sickening for us, and we wouldn't be able to survive. You can actually filter it. I mean, you could boil this water, you could filter it through your sock. My friend Steph does that quite a lot, and then you can boil it, and it will still taste horrible, but you kill all the nasty things in it by boiling it for about 10 minutes. So that's what we could do if we were desperate and we really needed to drink. Well, then that's what we would do. Now you can see a different angle of us. You can see Gendre for the first time. You can see what a big fellow he is. He's not a small fellow. I mean, it's this damn cam. Hello, everybody, the damn cam. I was looking at the wrong camera. Now you can see Gendre, and you can see me, and you can see Herbert walking down, perhaps off towards the dam there, to see if he can't spot some tracks of the male leopard. Right, let's go around. Ooh, Gendre. There's a monarch butterfly. Gendre loves to film butterflies, don't you, Gendre? You might hear that he's not talking to me because a butterfly is probably the most difficult thing in the world to film because it doesn't sit still. He's going to be so cross with me when we go off air. Right, let's walk around here and see if we can't find some interesting tracks. Now the track, of course, is the footprint that an animal leaves in the bush, not in the bush, in the mud. And this beautiful butterfly is coming with me. It just doesn't like Xongile. It likes me very much. Sorry, Xongile. Sorry the butterfly doesn't like you. It's because he's too big, you see. So what Herbert's doing is standing next to the water, and a tracker like that will always come down towards the water at this time of the day because things during the heat of the day will come and have a drink, and we know there was a male leopard around here somewhere, so Herbert's now looking for his tracks there in the mud. Alright kids at school, I'm afraid it's time for you to go off to maths or geography or history or whatever other subject you have to do. I hope it's a good day at school. I hope it's not too cold where you are. We'll see you again on safari very soon.
Oh, this is great. So just as I thought, the young female has just joined her mother. A little Xongile has gone up to Karula. Now, I'm going to try and reposition. We might be able to get a view from the other side. The grass is long at the moment. But let's see. Just stay with us for a second. She literally just walked up to her now. I'm still not sure where the young male is. I haven't seen him yet. But I'm sure they are all around here. There we go. I think we'll get a nice view from this angle. Give me a second. There we go. Now, and good question. When is a leopard no longer called a cub? Now, and I suppose strictly speaking, these young leopards are no longer cubs. Now, I suppose we could almost call them sub-adults, and the reason for that is because they're starting to explore a lot more by themselves. We know they have kind of hunted for themselves and caught little mongoose and squirrels and birds, and a leopard is forced out by their mother usually, or become independent usually at about 1.5 years. And with these young cubs now, or these youngsters, they're almost about 1 year old. So I suppose they're considered to be sub-adults more than cubs, I would say. But I'm not sure if there's an exact, they are still looked after by the mother. So I suppose technically they are still cubs. I would say, let's say from 1.5 years old, then I would stop calling them cubs. That would be my guess. Maybe we can ask James and Jamie what they think, but probably from 1.5 years. And you can see the female cleaning her young cub. And also this just strengthens the bond between the female and her offspring. Now, it's incredible. We've been very, very fortunate with this female leopard and her cubs. Viewing leopards like this and seeing the cubs grow up is really, really special. I think you don't get to see leopards together. They are generally solitary, so to see a leopard, a female with cubs, is very special. And usually the only time you'll see them is if a male and female mating. Tama, as I was saying, it's about 1.5 years until the female, and that's the average age, that the female then decides to push out the cubs, and she will then basically make them go off on their own and become independent. They have to then look after themselves. Some leopards, I've seen it happen a lot earlier, from about 1 year old. Females push out cubs, but on average it's about 1.5 years. I've also seen young leopards stay with their mother for 2 years. So it all depends. It all depends All right, we're going to sit here a little bit longer. Now, Jamie has got some primates she'd like to show you.
I've got some primates indeed, and we are even more lucky in that there are two tiny vervet monkeys with this particular troop. Look, there we go, there's one. Oh, oopsie. Did you fall down? Oh. Oh, that is too precious. That really is so incredibly cute. Watching it clamber up like that. That is utterly adorable. I think that these are the same babies that we saw about 2 months ago now. No, it was in December. It was the beginning of December where I first saw a very tiny baby when it was one of our TV shows in December. And there was a tiny little one, and I think it's the same troop, and I think this is the same little baby that is clambering around after Mom. Look at it go. They really are truly fascinating to watch, baby primates. Watching the way that they learn to climb, it's like watching a baby elephant learn to use its trunk and clambering up branch by branch. So for our new viewers, these are called vervet monkeys. It's one of only two diurnal primates, apart from human beings, of course, that we see on our live safaris. So we see vervet monkeys and we see chukma baboons on a relatively regular basis. And I'm going to try and creep forward. The impala startled them a little bit earlier, so that's what caused them to all run into the squarry bush. But I'm hoping... Little one, do you mind if we come forward a little bit? No need to be afraid. Now, Diana, you wanted to know what they were eating. They're eating berries, and I think they're eating guari berries. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. We might even have a chance to have a proper look. This is so cool. You got it? Go forward a little. There we go. Oh, look. Oh my goodness. We got twins. There's 3 tiny babies. Sorry, Craig. Can we have a look a little bit to the left there? If you look in the guari bush off to your left. Yeah, there. Not impossible. It's unusual for a female to have twins. Very unusual. But it's not impossible. It might just be that she's looking after another little one that belongs to another female. But they're both exactly the same age. Look at it looking at us. Peekaboo. Yes, we see you. Oh, I hope you're getting some amazing screenshots, because this is just too precious. Oh, look, it's suckling. Oh. So one of the few mammals out here that, of course, has pectoral nipples. And here we go. Little one giving a demonstration of why mammals are such successful creatures. Yes, hello. You done with lunch now? Look at the bright curiosity in that face. Curiosity, a little bit of nervousness, but Mom is relaxed, so therefore baby is relaxed. I don't think it was twins. I think this is her, obviously this is her baby. You can see it nestling up to her. Now, for the first few weeks of their lives, their mom is their world. She carries them around, essentially disadvantaging herself by having to move about on 3 limbs rather than 4, same as baboons. But once they get to a certain age, like this little one, and they are strong enough to ride on Mom's back. And your ears? Don't worry, little one, you'll grow into them, I promise. Now, while we watch this little one, I think it's going to start clambering around. There, watch the way that it wraps its tail around the branch. It's okay. It's all right. Yes, that's comfort. Look at, sorry, I'll get back to the tail in a second, but look at that. That's a comfort motion. That's suckling. It's almost like going for a dummy. That wasn't really about feeding. You can see the little one went a bit far and then got nervous and went back to Mom and immediately latched on. And I promise, I believe that's comfort more than anything else. Oh, she's got him. While our mother clambers down from the branch that she was in, Beck, you wanted to know whether or not the tail serves a purpose, the long tail. Yes, it does. It's essentially, for monkeys, it's basically a fifth limb. That's a wonderful way of, it's almost prehensile. It's able to grip onto branches, almost like having an extra hand. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
Have you got it there?
There's another one.
Oh, there's another one. Look at this one. Oh. And of course also counterbalance as well. My goodness, but that head is far too big for that body. They're so disproportionate when they're this tiny. And clutching on. I mean, these little ones are only a few weeks old. This is so precious. A month maybe? Oh, very impressive. That was amazing. What a spectacular leap that was. So Beck, yes, the tail's balance and for gripping on. Just like an extra... this is the weird... I had this weird conversation with VM once. And those of you who've been watching for a while, you know that I've had this conversation with you before. Everybody thinks I'm strange. Craig's going to think I'm insane. But if it were normal, if it was something that human beings just had, I would love to have a tail. Have a long prehensile tail. Imagine how useful that would be. Imagine how cool it would be to have a prehensile tail. I know it sounds really weird. There we go. Craig, if I go forward a little bit, how's your view there? Can you see it? While we have a look at this little baby monkey, we saw two earlier. And we have a question about whether or not babies will feed from other mothers. Sorry, Shannon. Shannon, that was your question. And thank you for sending through your question, Shannon. No, they won't. However, there are some very strange things that happen with primates. They're much more complex. Well, I mean, to our understanding, they are much more complex than other mammal species that we get to see. And occasionally what happens is they kidnap other babies. So particularly with young females and with females that have recently lost a baby, there are lots of recorded cases of females grabbing, squawking babies. It happens as well with baboons. In fact, it mainly happens with baboons, but it happens with monkeys too. I've heard stories of it happening with monkeys as well. And it causes an uproar, as you can imagine, because of course the true mother, the biological mother, becomes very distressed and starts to scream and shout frantically. Now, in vervet monkeys, they're very female-dominated troops. That society is very female-dominated. They have a very strict hierarchy. But in baboons, the males actually have to be the ones to step in and return the kidnapped offspring to the true mother. So that does happen, but no, they won't allosuckle other babies. And they can be quite aggressive towards each other. Oh, that's so cute. And I mean, those of you who've been watching for a while know that I don't dislike primates at all. I just don't generally feel the same connection to them that I do with other animals. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's childhood trauma. There, she's going to come down. And you can actually watch the way that she carries her baby as she pops down. There she is. Oh, it's clinging. It's old enough to cling now. And it's got its little tail wrapped around hers. That's so cute. Oh my goodness gracious. Precious vervet monkey sighting. There's another one up in the knobthorn over there. Another small baby. There's two small babies up in that knobthorn actually. There's one there being clutched by mum. And then there's one a little bit further down in the bottom right of your screen. There we go. Baby monkeys everywhere. Population explosion. Craig, would you like to have a tail?
Yeah.
Imagine, like you're trying to open a door and your hands are full. You could reach out and turn the door handle, or you could climb trees better. I mean, if it were normal, if there was no stigma attached to having a tail. And it just picked its nose. It did too. It just picked its nose and then put its hand in its mouth. So while we watch this little one curiously examine its world, Graham, you want to know, for the two diurnal primates that we see, will vervets and baboons tolerate each other? Yes, they do. They'll keep a little bit of distance between them, but I've often seen them, particularly when trees are fruiting, which, by the way, brings me back to what I needed to answer about what the monkeys were eating. But I have seen them foraging, particularly when they've got marula fruits or guari berries. It's absurd. Really, I mean, it's not like I've never seen a baby monkey before, but somehow this one just looks particularly odd. Oh, look at you. So yes, they will, but they'll generally stay out of each other's way, and vervet monkeys are better climbers than baboons, and they are much, much more agile and much faster than baboons. Which is good, because baboons can be quite aggressive creatures when they want to be. He's going to jump soon, I think. Oh no, settle down now. I was talking about what vervet monkeys eat, and I said I'd have a look at the bush. There's no fruit on the guari bushes yet. I'm sorry, it wasn't guari bushes that it was eating. It was probably eating some of the fresh shoots and the leaves of the guari bush, or it might have been eating some of the berries from the buffalo thorn that's fruiting as well. I'm trying to decide what it looks like. And as a big sister, I'm tempted to say it looks exactly like my little brother did when he was about 2 years old. Does that mean? It's probably a little bit mean, but that's siblings for you. So cute. I mean, he's now 19, so he definitely doesn't look like that anymore. Looking under the pieces of bark and really just exploring, finding out what's edible, what's not, how to climb. I know. Jason, imagine if we tried to climb, or got our babies to climb trees at a few weeks old. It is surprisingly agile for something that small. Very, very rare for a baby monkey to fall out of a tree. Fortunately, like all small creatures, they tend to be quite, not soft-boned, but they tend to have slightly more resilience to falls, just like children generally do, rather than adults. And of course, a lot of that's to do with the calcification of the bones, and the fact that a lot of their growth points around their bones haven't fully solidified. Am I boring you? I'm sorry, little one. How cute is that? It's amazing. I completely forgot. Oh yes, they're quite bouncy. So if they do fall out of a tree, they're usually absolutely fine. I don't know where our other little baby went. I think they've gone. Oh, they're in the marula tree. It's such a pity the sun's shining so brightly in our faces. While we sit, I'm actually going to sit patiently with our monkeys for a little bit longer and find out what they're up to. It sounds as though James is also having a patient afternoon, but he's sitting at a waterhole.
The wind froze me in this position because I've been waiting here for so long. I haven't really. We've been actually having a really rather amusing time sitting here by the waterhole, but we've been sitting with a new friend called, it is a cicada beetle, cicada bug. It's not a beetle at all, and I'm just going to see if I can make it make its little noise for you. Come on. Now we're going to look at how it does that. So if I turn him over, sorry, Gendry, you can see there, as he extends his abdomen, there are two flaps. Can you see that, Gendry, or shall I point with a piece of grass? Would that help?
No, just hold him still will help.
I am holding him still, Gendry. I'm going to have to bash Gendry shortly, everybody. If we point there are the two flaps, and underneath there is the sound-producing organ. So if I move that slightly, you can see a gap forming. I don't want to hurt him, so I'm just going to quickly do that. And in there is where the membranes are that he vibrates up and down And there are also some air cavities that are called timbrels, I think they're called timbrels, are they? That amplify the sound. And it is quite astounding that such a tiny little thing is able to make such a very loud sound. Now, I don't know what kind of cicada he is. There are many different kinds. But we're going to let him fly away now. Are you watching, Xongile? And Emery, you say it sounds like an electric shock. It does actually sound a bit like an electric shock. And there you can see the cicada bug. And I think they're just rather gorgeous things. I love the sight of them. I love the sound of them. They really make me very happy. Seemingly almost as happy as those monkeys made you all. They really did sound like a very special sighting. Isn't that gorgeous? He's actually taken a shine to me. I think he's got Stockholm Syndrome. You know what that is, Xongile? I think this is a cicada with Stockholm Syndrome. I think we must put him back. I'm just going to put him exactly on the tree that I found him, because I don't want him to be away from where he was. It would be very unkind. And you know, more and more we're going to come up with the discussion as to should we be handling animals. Now, I mean, we are obviously not handling things like lion cubs or leopard cubs or that sort of thing, but we do handle insects often. He doesn't want to go. We handle chameleons sometimes. I know Brent picked one up the other day, but that's because it was crossing the road. And the trick is, how do we know? Where do we draw the line? Do we draw the line at a cicada? Do we draw the line at a chameleon? Do we draw the line at, I don't know, I suppose a baby bird that we found? Could we pick that up and handle that? And is that okay? And I think it's quite an interesting discussion. And I like the way that it's going at the moment. I like the way that more and more people are saying, you know what, better we don't touch anything, better we just observe and enjoy. And that, of course, brings us to the next point, which, of course, is that we were having an interaction with that elephant earlier on. And should we be having an interaction with an elephant like that? Now, to my mind, absolutely we should. And I think we should, because that elephant very clearly showed us that he wasn't in any way uncomfortable with us. He's not trained, he's not domesticated, he has no experience of human cruelty. And therefore, his presence with us is of his own choice. And that, to me, is when we should be interacting with wildlife and with wild animals. Not handling them, and not, I mean, look, I personally don't have a problem handling a bug like that. I suspect one day I might, but at the moment I don't. But, you know what, 2 years ago I would have picked that thing up and said, you know, not doing our segment now, so let's just carry it with us, and then we will release it wherever we were. And I'm more and more, and I feel kind of silly sometimes thinking about this, or thinking like this, I'm more and more thinking that's not fair. That thing's ended up there. It's part of a little system on that bush. It's part of the wider system. There might be a bird thinking about eating it. There might be a female who heard him singing who might be coming to mate with him. And if we just pick him up and take him off, well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, will we affect anything? Well, I don't know. Probably not. But maybe we have that butterfly wings effect that creates some form of upheaval further down the line. So I think the more sensitive we are, the better it is. And I don't know where it will stop, but that's just my take on the philosophy of it right now. We haven't found any leopard tracks, so we're just going to wander up here and see what we can find. It is another gorgeous afternoon, not too hot, nice breeze blowing, strange breeze because it's coming in from the northeast, which is unusual. That's off the sea. And I don't know if it's going to bring any weather with it, but I suspect probably not. Apparently it's going to rain sometime later during the week. Now, thank you all for agreeing with me on my philosophy so far. We are going to spend quite a lot of time over the next little while examining these Waltheria indica plants, because this is where Stefan keeps finding those what are they called? Saw-backed, that's right, saw-backed flower mantids. And this is where they seem to like to hang out. And so I'm just going to have a quick look at them. And they like to disguise themselves pretty much as the flower there. You can see it. Although there was a saw-backed flower mantid the other day that looked a bit like a bird pooper. And if you're not going to look like the plant on which you are sort of hunting, then I suppose disguising yourself as a bird poop is a very effective method of disguising yourself, because of course nothing suspects a bird poop of wanting to eat it. And likewise, if you are something that gets eaten, well, it's a good idea to look like a bird poop too, because very few things like to eat bird poop. And I found many caterpillars that looked like that, moths that looked like bird poop, and indeed that wonderful saw-backed flower mantid. Byron Schmechter would like to show you more from the leopards of the royal family. We're going to continue wandering up through here towards a tall marula tree.
Thank you, James Rehydrate. We're still sitting with these beautiful leopards now. We haven't seen the young male yet. I have been looking, but I think he is very clever, because I think he's hiding in the shade somewhere. And so is Karula and young Xongile. Now, we've got a wonderful view of them, but we are cooking in the sun. It's a very hot afternoon. Look at those wonderful patterns. Flies still bothering them a little bit. There are a lot of flies around because of that kill. It's been hidden under the... I don't know, Oh, Joshua, now I wonder. You say the lion is powerful, the cheetah is fast. How would I describe the leopard? I would say stealthy. That would be my description of a leopard, stealthy. You can see how hot it is actually now. It's very, very warm this afternoon. I would probably, stealthy. It's a stealthy hunter. Cunning. I wonder, cunning? No. I think just stealthy. Let's see, I wonder. Oh, I think she stood on a little thorn there. Do you see that as she moved? I think she just caught a thorn in the long grass. Yeah, just a thorn in my side. It's all you. No, just kidding. I won't sing. Don't worry. Don't tell James. He'll get very upset. Denga, you asked, do I think a leopard could survive without a tail? I'm certain they could, and the reason I say that is I've seen two lionesses. Not so long ago, there were two lionesses in the Salala Pride, which is a pride of lions that we still see south of here, in the central part of the Sabi Sands. There were two lionesses in that pride that both lost their tails to hyena. On separate occasions, they were attacked by hyena, and the hyena bit the tail off of those two lionesses. Now, they survived, they carried on living without an issue. Now, leopards, we know, use their tails a little bit more for balance when they're climbing trees and that. But I think they probably still would survive without a tail. Have a look. This little cub, is she going to head back to her mother? There she goes. I'm not sure where that young male is. He must be lying in the shade somewhere, resting. Probably has a full belly. I would assume he had a lot to eat from this impala that they killed. Totes, you'd like to know how long their tails are. I wonder, how do you... Totes long. They're about this length, if I can show you. It's probably about a meter or so long. So I would say, if the leopard tail was in front of me, it's probably about that long. So just over a meter, I think, on a big male. That's how long their tail would be. Quite thick, very muscular, so it helps them balance when they are climbing trees. I would say, that's totes how long their tail is. Now let's see. I'm just going to reposition quickly. Let me just turn around. Kirsten is bent over the computer in the final control laughing at me. So it might take a while to get another question. Now just give me a second. They're actually lying in a lovely position there now. And we might be able to get a little bit of shade too, won't we, Dave? Let's see. Are you getting a little bit of shade there? Yeah, that's great. There we go. You know, I've got to watch out for our cameramen. We don't want anyone dying of dehydration. I can't use the camera and present at the same time. Baby Jinx, you'd like to know if leopards meow like house cats. No, they do not. They do not meow like house cats. They do roar. They've got that that cartilage in their voice box, similar to that of a lion, and that's what makes them part of the Panthera genus. Because of that roar that they give off. Now, I'm having a look at Karula moving off there. Now, I wonder, there is a pan of water not far from here, and I wonder if she's not going to head off there and go and drink. That could be interesting. That would be wonderful to see. That I would assume that's what she's going to do. We'll just wait and see. Who knows what she'll do, meow.
Got some Ellies there.
Oh, there's some. Oh, look at that elephant in the distance. Well spotted, Dave. Oh, this is great. Let's sit here and see. Ah, my favorite. Now, all of you who watch regularly, you know how much I enjoy elephant. And it just shows you sitting in a sighting, enjoying it, being patient. Things happen around you all the time. Now, let's see how Karula is going to just probably try and move around those elephant. Oh, this is really going to be fantastic. Oh, this is great. I think you should definitely stay with us and see what is going to happen. It looks like a small group of elephant. I can't see at the back now if there are any more. It looks like they're just 3. And it appears as if we must have missed them. Remember, I said there's a waterhole not far from here. And I think what's happened is these elephant have gone and they bathed in that waterhole and splashed some mud on themselves and water, and helps keep them cool and also protects them from all the bugs and the flies and that sit on them. Actually, I think there's a youngster at the back there. That's probably going to move through into frame shortly. There's a young elephant there. There we go. Just hiding behind that tree. So for a small group of elephant, not a big herd, but it's not unusual to find a small herd like this. Oh, fantastic. Look at that little one. So everybody, you have got a leopard in the foreground and a magnificent herd of elephant in the back. It doesn't get much better than this. What a wonderful afternoon. I'm hoping I'm right in saying that Karula is going to go and drink. It's always wonderful getting a leopard drinking, bent down over the water, especially for photographers. You can get some wonderful pictures. It does take patience. You have to be in the right place at the right time. These elephants are very happy at the moment. There's a lot of food around for them. A lot of food, a lot of water, so they can move just about anywhere. And I'm sure a lot of these elephant, just like James, are enjoying the marula fruit at the moment. James has been snacking on them all afternoon. Jay Atkinson, I don't know if we'd go as far as saying they hate the predators like the lions, and you asked if they hate the leopards. I think they dislike predators. Elephants just obviously don't want predators nearby, because predators, even though they're probably no direct threat to the elephant, it's still a predator. They don't like the smell and they chase them away. If these elephants saw or smelt these leopard, they would definitely chase them too. But the wind is, I think, in the leopard's favor at the moment. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move a little bit closer to this elephant and then just see if I can see where Karula's going. She's moved off. Little Xongile also moved off through the long grass, and I think she's heading to that waterhole. So let's have a look. But let's get a little bit closer to these elephant for now, because this is a lovely view of them. There, I've just spotted Karula again moving off to my right. The elephant definitely don't know she's there. And these Ellies are very relaxed with us too. You can see, have a look at this large female on the right. She's definitely been bathing in the mud and the water, splashing herself, cooling down, having a good drink. In summer when it is hot, elephants drink a lot of water. They can drink a number of liters of water a day. And I think they found possibly little shrubs over there that they're feeding on. Little sedges perhaps. Bit of grasses. Just shows you elephants will eat just about any vegetation depending on the time of year, and they'll see what is available. MJ, you asked, could all these offspring be from this adult? MJ, it's not impossible. Maybe. To be honest, MJ, I think the one on the left, this one, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so. Just judging by the size of that young male, compared to the other two, and by the size of the female, I would think the female possibly gave birth maybe to the other two. I'm not sure from this young male. It is a possibility. It is a possibility. I mean, that female, let's have a look. It's always difficult to gauge the age, but you know what? It is a possibility. That female looks fairly old. She looks like she's between 30 and 40 years old, I would say, judging by the indentations on the skull. You can see very clearly on her forehead. It's usually a good sign of age. So maybe. But on the other hand, they could also be from a herd and they've just split up because there's a lot of food and vegetation around. Herds can occasionally split up and they'll meet up with the rest of the herd at some point again. All right, now, as I mentioned, these elephants feed on different types of vegetation, from grass to leaves to branches of trees. And speaking of trees, James has found himself in one at the moment.
That is called connective tissue, everybody, that Mr. Schmechter was giving us. And I am indeed in a tree, and it's the tree I pointed at, and I said it was a marula tree, but it isn't. It's an unkuhuma tree. It is a brown ivory tree, and it's fruiting. Now, I don't think that I've ever eaten a brown ivory fruit before, so I'm going to toss a few down to you, so if you could just hold your hands out. Are you ready to catch them? All right, everybody, catch that. There we go. Chandre, have you caught a few fruits for everybody? There we go. Now, those ones, I'm afraid, are not ripe. But in my hand, I have a ripe one here. Can you see it, Chandre? And Herbert has said that they are very delicious. I've never eaten one, and I am now going to eat this one. Herbert, if I fall out of this tree, you will be in trouble. Ooh. You peel them. Peel the skin off. This is delicious. I can't believe this. Oh. You know what it tastes like? It tastes like a sort of mixture between sweet corn, knickknacks. Do you get knickknacks wherever you are in the world? I'm not sure. They're sort of basically disgusting cheese-flavored chips. And sugar. Sugar, knickknacks, and sweet corn. It's actually a very pleasant taste. Now, that's the only combination I can give you. I'm going to try and find a few more ripe ones, but Herbert reckons that the birds have had at all the ripe ones. There are hundreds of fruits in this tree, though. Trulap, you say, is this part of my natural habitat? Are you referring... Oh, tuna, as in tuna fish. Are you referring to the tree as my natural habitat because I'm a primate? Well, I suppose it might be considered my natural habitat. I feel quite comfortable up here. I feel I have a good vantage point of anything that might be wanting to come and get me. But I've got to tell you, it's interesting that you should ask that, because I think it's probably asked tongue-in-cheek. We often come along to trees like this, and if there are monkeys or baboons in them, the monkeys or baboons will dive out of the trees and run. And people often ask why it is that they do that. And it's because they feel vulnerable. They feel like they can't go anywhere from here. And this, of course, is the tree named after the... Or, no, it's not the... This is the tree after which the Nkuhuma pride is named. The Nkuhuma tree, not this particular one, but one that's quite similar that they were found lying underneath goodness knows how long ago. And so we were talking about the lions before we came live, and I would feel extremely vulnerable sitting in this tree were there to be a pride of lions underneath, because of course they can outweight you if they have to. They can also climb very successfully, and there's nowhere for someone, a primate like me, or somebody more adept at climbing like a monkey or a baboon, like the monkeys we were looking at with Jamie, for example. They will be very scared in a tree like this with predators underneath, because they know that they got nowhere to go, and that's why they leap out of trees as soon as we, especially on foot, approach them. You cannot get near a tree full of baboons or monkeys if you're on foot. Right, we will now attempt a dismount from here. What an afternoon we're having, you know. Sometimes after the TV shows, things tend to be a little bit quiet and soporific. But today we've had astounding sightings of leopards and elephants and monkeys and lions and Nkuhuma trees and people pretending to be monkeys and cicada beetles. And I might break my leg now, but that's okay. It's all in the name of the cause, isn't it, Jandre? Now, apparently, while I climb down from here, we're going to head across to Schmechter, who is still with the leopards and the elephants.
Is this... Oh, this is Torchwood. Yeah, hello everybody. Sorry, I'm trying to just get into a position quickly. Hold on. Because... have a look at that. Have a look at that. Just as I thought she was heading into this area to come and have a drink. Oh, that is magnificent. I hope you're all getting your screenshots and enjoying the sighting as much as I am. Wow, that is beautiful light. James, you'd be very, very jealous, and because you don't have your camera here, I'm sure you'd get some wonderful photos. But don't worry, because I didn't bring my camera either. Such a lovely view. Now have a look closely at how this female's drinking. She's lapping up the water. She curls her tongue backwards. Look at those eyes. I promise you, the light at the moment is just perfect for photography. You probably wouldn't have to change a single thing on your photograph. She laps up the water. All big cats drink this way, so they don't get a big mouthful with each lick of the water or lap of the water. And that's why she'll probably stay down and drink for quite some time. Jade, normally I would say leopards don't go into the water, but you know what, to cool off, the chances are highly unlikely. They don't like water very much, but I've seen young leopards go into waterholes and into the middle of mud wallows. We saw young Hosanna the other day. If I'm not mistaken, it was him that climbed into a waterhole. He was splashing around, playing. So it's unusual, and most people probably say, well, leopards don't go into the water at all, they don't like it. But that's not true. I have seen leopards go into water. And I've also tracked a leopard that has managed to cross a river. We couldn't find exactly where it went, but we followed the tracks right up to the river, and it crossed the river, and we found it later that afternoon on the other side of the river. It definitely swam through. There was no other way to get through. So leopards, if they have to, they will go into water, and they will cross rivers if they have to. It's amazing. Now, Jamie has got a beautiful bird she'd like to show you.